We got word late last week that there's going to be another X-Men vote in 2022. And now we're getting some more of the details as far as what characters are up for the vote. Maybe some of the creators are going to be involved in X-Men in 2022, as far as the return of an event that I think we're all wish would not come back. And plus a character that I do believe Marvel Comics and Jordan D. White, the group editor of X-Men, also the lead member of the Legion of Doofuses at Marvel Comics, they're doing a number on a character I personally like. There's information in here. I'm going to highlight the things that I think are interesting. Most of them are disappointing. So there is an interview with Adventures in Poor Taste for X-Men Monday, the gift that keeps on giving, at least to my channel and my viewers. And it's mostly Jordan White and some of the other creative members. And I'm going to go through it, and we've got some information to glean. First up, they give Jordan an opportunity to give like an opening statement. And this one stopped me right in my tracks when I get to one. Well, it's not a word. I guess it's a title. Welcome, everyone. And we are so excited to be doing another X-Men vote in 2022. Just like last year, we're letting the fans vote on one member of the new X-Men that gets announced at the Hellfire Gala. So apparently, the Hellfire Gala is returning in 2022. Even though Marvel Comics is in a sliding timeline, and it's probably only been 2 months, maybe 3, since the last X-Men vote. Just about the X-Men vote happening this fast. What has the current X-Men team done so far? There's only been a handful of issues, and it's been jumping all around. Nothing has really even happened. That team is not settled or stable, and it hasn't done anything. It's crazy that they're already going to change out the X-Men team. But bringing back the Hellfire Gala is the real kick in the nuts if you're an X-Men fan, and you take the characters in the universe seriously. There are probably longtime X-Men fans that did feel, I don't know, good about the Hellfire Gala, but a vast majority of long, diehard X-Men fans that respect the characters, respect the universe, were at a minimum tuned out and more than likely turned off by the Hellfire Gala itself. I do not believe the rumor that I've heard is that we will not be an all-encompassing 1-month event that includes every single X-Men title again. I think they learned their lesson on that one. I think it's going to be more contained to like 1 or 2 issues, but there's no reason to do this. They just had it. It was very boring. It basically killed the momentum of a couple of actually pretty damn good X-Men runs, 2 of them which really haven't recovered, Wolverine and X-Force. Hopefully those will get back on track with this new soft reboot that they're doing. The only comic series that really suffered through it and had anything left to say afterwards really was Hellions. Otherwise, everything else is just halted right in its tracks. There's nowhere left to go. Hellfire Gala was awful. Now, I know there are going to be some people say, well, Wes, I checked out the graphic novel sales on Amazon, and I looked at the Marvel Amazon 100, and Hellfire Gala was up there. Well, it just released. In 3 months, you will not see it on the top 100 list, and then you'll never, ever hear about it again because it just was not a good event. Whether you liked the costume designs, nothing really happened. They terraformed Mars one moment in like 14-ish. I don't understand why they're going back to this. Well, yes, they were able to sell some variant covers. I'm certain without the Hellfire Gala, they could probably bring Russell Dowderman and another creator to come on and put X-Men in dresses, call them variant covers, and sell them for a lot of money. You don't need the event to put the characters in stupid costumes. Right off there, within the very first paragraph, Jordan White, announcing the vote and why we should be excited, I'm immediately turned off because he's mentioning Hellfire Gala again. I think the X-Men vote is stupid because we just had one. Doing the Hellfire Gala again is it's suicide. Are you trying to make every single person that might be interested in this universe or has stuck around through the hard times and just give them no hope? No reason to ever stick around because you keep going back to you might have intended something good to happen with Hellfire Gala, but nothing good came of it. Now, as far as the vote itself, Jordan does say that they went for as obscure characters as possible, perhaps putting a character like Polaris that had been in the X-Men history and the X-Men continuity for so long may have swayed the voters. So they've gone with Armor once again, Avalanche, Bling, Firestar, Gentle, Gorgon, Micromax, Penance, Siren, and Surge. A couple of names there that stayed out. Initially, I was like, yeah, well, if you're gonna do one of them, I say go with Gorgon. Then I realized And I remember Jerry Duggan's writing X-Men, and it's gone downhill essentially every single issue of the series since Jerry Duggan's gone on there, except for this last one. It got better on that one. So I don't know that I want him working with Gorgon. And then we got some more information. I'm going to talk about Gorgon here in a minute. It makes me think, definitely don't pick Gorgon. That sounds terrible. So I guess if I have to pick out of the rest, let's go Micromax. I don't care if Jerry Duggan ruins that character. How's that one? Excalibur essentially is dead to me. I don't care what Claremont did with Excalibur. Tini Howard has essentially ruined the entire universe, so it doesn't matter anymore. Now, what they've done to promote this vote using the Adventures in Port Taste X-Men Mondays article, and there is a link in the video description if you want to read all of it. There's a lot of information in there, is that each writer is picking, I guess, a character, and they're their hype man. And you can really tell, like, the way that they're treating what they're doing, that they're treating it like some kind of weird, like, high school production or something. It's really cheesy. I think it's supposed to be funny. Perhaps, like, the audience is like teenage girls or something, and I'm a 43-year-old man, so obviously that's not going to really hit to me. So I'm not going to read all of them. This is just an example and something I wanted to build off anyway. This is what Alyssa Wong had to say. Folks, if your girlfriend has a heart of gold, family trauma, and floats inside a giant impenetrable suit of psionic energy, then that's not your girlfriend. That's armor. Clever and resilient, Hisaki Ichiki keeps her friends close and her departed loved ones' memories even closer. With armor on the X-Men, you'll always have someone to watch your back. And you know you want to see a giant pink energy mech punch somebody through a wall. Vote Armor 2022. Right there's a little exclamation point on that one. And then Jordan White, the least effective hype man of all times, card-carrying member of the Legion of Doofuses, likely the voted-in president this time. Thank you so much, mysterious visitor. Before we let that sink in too much, let's jump on to the next nominee. It's just, I get what they're going for. It's lame. Like, you're adults. You're not part of the high school newspaper club, right? You could treat this like a profession, like it's serious, but it's not serious, right? It's Hellfire Gala. It's another X-Men vote that's unneeded. So, and he mentions, thank you, mysterious visitor, Alyssa Wong, obviously, to my knowledge, to this point, has not been associated with the X-Men line, mostly does Dr. Aphra, then she does, like, Asian characters. Whenever they do an Asian character one-shot, Alyssa Wong gets to write it. If Gene Yang and Greg Pak aren't available, then Alyssa Wong gets to do it. Why is Alyssa Wong doing a hype for anything? It feels like they're low-key announcing that Alyssa Wong is going to be part of the X-Men creative team, as if it couldn't get worse, as if they didn't have enough unskilled labor in the X-Men creative team with the likes of Didi Howard, Vita Ayala, Jerry Duggan, Leah Williams, Steve Orlando, and others. Was Chuck Austin not available? And who are we kidding ourselves? Chuck Austin is probably too good of a writer to go into the X-Men office at this point. He would go in there and make them all look like fools. There's only a couple of even decent writers now that Hickman's out of there. It feels like Ben Percy has lost whatever spark he had, but I still have faith in him. And, you know, I disagree with the Doc Man. I think Kieran Gillen, given the right circumstances and the right character, is still a really good writer. But what's Alyssa Wong doing there? There's enough untalented F-list, D-list creators that couldn't sell a comic book if their life depended on it in the X-Men office. That's one of the reasons we got here. That's one of the reasons Jonathan Hickman left the line, because he was tired of it being diluted by talentless hacks. But apparently, Jordan White only associates with talentless hacks. Those are the only people he wants to bring on board. Every once in a while, you'll get an Al Ewing or a Kieran Gillen. But for the most part, it's the bottom of the barrel that he's putting on most of these series. So I imagine this is a low-key announcement that Alyssa Wong is in the X-Slack for 2022, right? Oh my goodness. Like if like it couldn't get worse. That's the problem. Never, ever, ever, when you're talking about DC or Marvel, never say it can't get worse, because they will always prove you wrong, and likely in record time. It'll be within 15 minutes. You make a video, you say it can't get worse. You stop recording, and then you read something worse. So I'm not going to say it can't get worse than Alyssa Wong, but it can't get much worse. How's that one? I'm caging it this time. As far as the other creators that are in this, you should know most of them. Ben Percy, Victor Laval, who's going to be doing the Sabretooth series. Steve Orlando is going to be the writer on Marauders. Cy Spurrier is going to be doing the Legion of X series. Jerry Duggan, whatever. Al Ewing's going to be X-Men Red. Titty Howard's going to be doing Knights of X. Kieran Gillen, Immortal X-Men. And then Leah Williams is also on here. I haven't seen a series announced to be written by Leah Williams. We know that they were doing the X Factor series, which absolutely sucked. Only outdone by the Trial of Magneto, which shockingly had no trial and really not all that much Magneto, to be completely honest. And that was even worse somehow. Maybe not worse than X Factor 10, but on a whole, I would say Trial of Magneto was worse than X Factor. So I imagine that means Leah Williams is going to get a mini series or something. Maybe she'll get a co-write something in 2022 and is not going to be leaving the X-Men team anytime soon. We don't see Vita Ayala on the team as far as the people that are hyping up these members. Could that be like a low-key announcement that Vita Ayala is gone? You know, they are still doing New Mutants, but perhaps Alyssa Wong is taking New Mutants off of Vita Ayala's plate, and they're moving on. That would be good news. I cannot confirm or deny that, obviously, but we can give it this. We give it a hope. Maybe, perhaps, Vita Ayala is no longer going to be on the X-Men team in the near future. I don't believe it, but I'm hoping. I think it's much more likely that Vita had something to do and just didn't have time for this. I'm going to be honest. There's nothing that they could say that was going to make me more depressed than there's going to be a new Hellfire Gala, and then, low-key possibly confirming Alyssa Wong is coming to the X-Men team. But this last one I thought was just terrible news. In Ten of Swords, which was a nightmare, there's a scene, I believe it's in X-Force, where Gorgon is part of one of the competitions and he goes to have carnal relations with a boulder. And I believe Magic and Wolverine are watching the scene. They're like, hey, he's going to go bang a rock. And he's like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this because Gorgon is such a cool character. There are only a few badass X-Men left, outside of Wolverine, maybe Cable, and a few others. Gorgon is one of those. It's a badass mutant samurai. And he had, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the few redeeming moments in all of Ten of Swords is when the Krakoan mutants are just being slaughtered in this competition. And it's time for him to do something. It's a battle to the death. The white sword guy just sends in his army of undead, and Gorgon tears him to pieces and ties it up before having an honorable death at the end of it. And it was really cool. It was like, wow, what a moment in all of this cesspool of nothingness and just terrible comic book writing. There is a cool comic book moment. I can appreciate this. It's a good way for Gorgon to go out. Of course, you have to think, well, there is resurrection. And we do know that if you died in Otherworld and then were resurrected, it does something to your personality. So they've decided with the resurrection of Gorgon, I wish they would have just left him dead now that I'm seeing this. Jerry Duggan ends up being the hype man for Gorgon. This is what he has to say. I found this incredibly depressing. The one known as the Gorgon walked a harrowing and evil path. In his wake, countless souls lays decimated. Even he wondered why he was born into this world, until he heard the words of Xavier, asking him to come to Krakoa. There he found purpose. And when mutantdom was on its heels in the turn of Otherworld, his deadly gifts helped turn the tide in their favor. He sacrificed his life for Krakoa, and like all mutants, deaths in Otherworld, his resurrection forever changed him. This Gorgon is a pacifist. Like I said, there are only so many badass mutants that are left. Most of them have been irreparably harmed, not just during this time on X-Men with so many low-tier writers. We're talking the last decade. Gorgon's a cool character. Gorgon's a badass. Gorgon's a pacifist. Don't vote for Gorgon, please, in this vote. It's like, just let the character stay dead. Don't let Jerry Duggan and these hacks ruin something that was cool. There was a beautiful moment that actually happened in a terrible, terrible comic book event. It made you feel something for a character. It made you respect the character. And now they're going to bring him back and just completely change him because it's funny. The sword-wielding samurai is a pacifist now. Isn't that hilarious? Actually, it's not Jerry Duggan. Actually, it's not Jordan D. White. It's you spitting in the face of one of the few things that you got right in Ten of Swords. Take the W and move on with your lives. Stop snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. You have ruined so many characters in such a short span of time. You elevated one character. First you made him bang a rock, and then you elevated the character a couple of issues later. Can't we just leave it at that? How about we just leave this one on the sideline until this whole X-Men universe gets rebooted again, and maybe somebody that likes Gorgon can bring the character back as the badass samurai mutant, evil mutant that he was always meant to be. And we can cherish him and love him and appreciate him. That's what I got to say about this. That's your vote. If you're voting for the X-Men, please don't vote in Gorgon. Also, just the whole premise of this X-Men vote is stupid. Being a member of the X-Men means that you're elite, like you're the best of the best. And it certainly shouldn't be voted on by the people. They want the fans to be interactive with the process or whatever's going on in the X-Men. But there's got to be a better way to do this. And being on the X-Men team, like an official flagship X-Men member, should mean something. I know a lot of times in the past it hasn't. And they've really watered it down. But there's no reason to really add to the problem and add, for the most part, are a bunch of D and F level mutant characters. I know everyone's, someone's a Bling fan. There's somebody whose favorite X-Men is Firestar, but it's like 3 people. I don't think there's enough value add in this. If I had to pick one, I guess it'll probably be Armor, probably, but I hope it's not Gorgon, and I hope just no one votes and they're just like, oh, I guess we'll never do that again. That would be the best outcome. If you're an X-Men fan and you haven't been watching This Week at X-Men every Sunday right here on the channel, this week we talked about X-Men number 6, which has some down moments, has some up moments, as well as some of the revelations Jonathan Hickman talked about as far as story arcs that he never got to complete during his time on X-Men, as well as some of the details about X-Men Red. Doc does get a little salty, but we're able to, restore his faith in humanity, or at least mutant kind, a couple of times. So if you haven't checked it out, check out This Week at X-Men. It might be the show for you.